Hello, hello, projector friends. I have been wanting to do this masterclass for a while now, and I'm so glad that you're here taking the time to be part of it. Yeah, I've been into my human design experiment for about 5 years now. I learned that I was a projector energy type, and I really had no clue what that meant, as I'm sure most of you when you first are introduced to human design is like, what is this now? Because you always hear about like astrology and maybe some numerology and different things, and but I literally had no clue what human design system was all about. um, but when I learned that I was a projector energy type, I was very intrigued, I was enthralled, I was fascinated, validated. There was also some mixed feelings of like, okay, well, if this is my energy type and I can't really like outsmart it, if you will, then what? What do I do with this information? What do I how do I work this into my life to propel me forward, right? Um because there is kind of some mixed feelings when you first learn that you're a projector, because on the one hand you feel very validated and you feel very seen because there's kind of seemingly like a reason to why you've been drawn to the things that you've been drawn to. And for many of us being projectors in this generator world, we kind of feel like the outsider. We often have felt that everybody else seems to be figuring things out. Why is it different for us? Or why do we feel like the odd man out? Or why do we feel like if everybody sees it this way and I see it that way, who's maybe I'm wrong, like, but it's so confusing because we see so clearly. It's very confusing to us, challenging to us to try to understand why others don't see things the way that we do, because we see so clearly. We're just like, well, that's not working, and like maybe if we do this and this would be more efficient. And it's this kind of simple task for us, to be able to see so clearly, and we're kind of met with a world that doesn't always understand us or doesn't always see things the way that we do. And there's I feel like projectors in general meet with a lot of resistance. And so when you first learn that you're a projector, in some ways you feel like this relief, and you feel like, okay, yeah, there is a rhyme and reason why I have been the way that I've been in my life, and the things that I have prioritized in my life make sense now. And you sort of get this like this understanding of yourself that maybe you didn't really fully have before. And then there's also this piece of like, oh, okay, so my energy doesn't self-perpetuate itself. I don't keep creating more energy. This really is how I am, where I don't have these motors to keep me going. I don't have that sacral energy to keep me going. And I feel like for me that's always been a struggle, because I have always felt that within myself, that when I push into things, I don't feel well, and when I overdo things, like it's not just like, oh, I'm tired, it's like I feel sick and tired. And it's a deeper feeling. And I think when you first learn, okay, you're a projector energy type, and you feel validated in that, but then you also feel like, really, I'm never going to be able to just like go like a Manny Jenny, like a manifesting generator who just has that endless energy. I'm never going to be able to really keep up, right? Um, so there can be a little bit of mixed feelings when you first kind of step into anything, right? It's just like, oh, that's interesting. And oh, okay, so I'm gonna have to learn how to work with this. Like there's no denying it in a way, there's no denying it, right? But I think where the empowerment piece comes into that is like anything else. When you have more information, you get an opportunity to work with your energy instead of like working against it, or in our case, like our limited amount of energy is very real, and so we really need to be, self-preserving. We need to be really mindful of maybe, like, just bringing our energy, like, I always get this sense of, like, "Okay, I'm gonna just pull my energy back to myself." And, I get busy, I'm, taking care of other people, or I'm kind of going on a tangent with some other person's energy. And the simple thought or awareness of, like, okay, I'm going to pull my energy back to me. When I do that, that gives me insight into where I'm at with my energy. And then I can say, you know what, I'm done. Like, I can't keep going down that path with you right now. Like, I've got to pull back a little bit here. And then once I do that, then I can understand what it is that I need. Like, do I need to go out for a nature walk? Do I need to go lay down and read my book for half an hour? Do I need some nourishing food? Do I need to sit and have a cup of tea? What is it that my needs are? And the thing, as I go deeper into understanding this about myself, and truly this has been a lifelong journey. I can see that now. I can see that I've always been playing and trying to learn more about my energy, and I really, really, truly, more than ever, can understand it is because of my energy type. Like, it truly comes back to being a projector, because why else would that be my life's purpose? Like, why else would that be such a high priority? Sorry, excuse me. There's just there's no denying it. And, as I go deeper into this journey of self-exploration, I can be grateful for, the time that I was in Southeast Asia, and, I was literally on a boat going to southern, like, the more southern part of Thailand. And, the boat, half the people got off at the party island, and half the people didn't, and I didn't. I was like, I'll go over here, you all go over there. I'm good. I'm good. And sometimes that made me feel like I was the odd man out, right? Like, I was like, why don't I want to go and do what everybody else wants to go and do? Instead of going to the full moon party on the one of the little islands, I went to a monastery. And that felt so liberating to me. Like, that wasn't like, "Oh, poor me, I'm gonna go hide out in a monastery." It was like, "Oh, I'm going in." It was very exciting to me, and it was like, you know, at the time, I could feel like, "Oh, I just wanted to have a new experience," and, just kind of just dive in. But now I can see, like, that that's truly because that's my energy type. Like, I was being guided because it was going to help me to navigate the world moving forward. Like, it was one of the pieces that I needed to understand myself on a deeper level. And I'm sure if you look back, you're going to see things that make sense for you in your journey of coming back to yourself. And I don't think that there's anything really more empowering for a projector, especially in the beginning of your journey, is really focusing on understanding your energy. And what I would like to say more about that is to really be paying attention to the energy leaks, to what it feels like when your energy is being depleted. um, and this can be very subtle things, I'll use an example from my own life, that I was experiencing the other day is like the energy depletion in itself, it can be very, very subtle, but the effects of it can be more profound sometimes than we realize. Because what I'm seeing now, as I get more into the subtle energy, is that the thing that happens over here, I might not notice that my energy is being leaked, that my energy is being drained, that I'm giving my power away. And then what happens is that if I kind of miss it, maybe I catch a glimpse of it, but I'm not like really sure what's happening. What happens usually is then later in the day when somebody gives me maybe like there's like a little piece of rejection, or maybe somebody doesn't really hear me, or somebody doesn't really see me, and it can be just like very minute. That'll trigger this thing that happened over here. And so, like, for an example, the other day, I was experiencing something with a client, where I was at work, and I didn't really fully have time to process what was happening, but there was some kind of energetic exchange where there was an energetic drain that was happening, and I was kind of mindful in the moment, but then I didn't really have time to like process it and really like move through whatever was happening. And then later, a few hours later, when I was with my family, they weren't doing anything to me per se, but because I hadn't processed that previous information, the things that they were saying to me about, I don't know, it was like about dinner or something, like it was really something very mundane. But I didn't feel seen. I didn't feel like I was being given space, I would say, probably more than anything. And I had to be accountable. And I had to say, you know what? I just need a moment, because I can feel that I'm processing something. And this isn't like too far of a stretch. I mean, a lot of us need a bit of decompression time after work anyways, but I'm using this as an example because it was heavier, it was more significant. And then so in that moment, I can say, like, I just need a bit of space to kind of like, kind of clear this out, clear my energy out, basically, is what was happening, is that I needed to, process what I had absorbed earlier in the day. Because the thing that was happening now was like, it wasn't anything. It wasn't anything. But projectors can very easily, and again, hindsight is everything, right? Because now I can have this understanding in the moment, and I can look back to, previous experience. It's like your life flashes before your eyes, and you're like, oh, I did it there, I did it there, I did it there, I did it there. And not in a self-critical way, just in a way of understanding the pattern. And this is what projectors do, right? We it's our purpose to understand the systems, right? To understand the patterns. And we need to see that in our own selves first before we look out into the world. And I know a lot of you are very spiritually evolved. And so you're already there. So this pattern, this system that I see within myself is that, projectors walk through life so sensitive and so open hearted and so directly connected to source, and it makes me emotional because it's like it literally is like you're just such a direct channel to source, like all the time. Like it's not an on and off thing for you. Like you are connected to source all the time, and I mean all people are, but the projectors have like it's like a direct line. It's a direct line. And so when we move through life and we feel so passionate about whatever it is that we're feeling passionate about, and we're not seen, we're not recognized for that, it's very deeply painful for us. And so what happens is that as projectors, we learn how to cope with that rejection. We learn how to cope with what we see and experience as not fitting in and not feeling like people understand us. And that's really hard, right? It's very isolating and it's very painful. It's it's literally like, for me it feels often like being cut off. It's like just this, unplug. Like, no, okay, well then I guess I better go somewhere else. And there can be other circumstantial I kind of had an accent there when I said that. There can be other like circumstantial reasons, obviously, in situations that also can contribute to those feelings. But if you really boil things down, you can see that it's a pattern for projectors, that as we walk through life, that because we feel so deeply and so big, we are deeply wounded to the same degree. And so I feel like as we're moving now towards 2027, it's like basically here, right? And what I feel like, if I'm kind of opening up the perspective on the collective level, is that we're being, I want to say, we're like, the way that I visualize it is like we're being magnetized out of our safety mechanisms, right? Because we're always safe. And I think we're realizing that if we keep ourselves vibrating at a frequency where we're up here, as opposed to depleting ourselves down here and then having to bring ourselves back up and depleting ourselves and then coming back up and down and up, we see how exhausting that is and how inefficient it is. And we're like, listen, I don't want to play that game anymore. And we're choosing to maintain our frequency at more of a mid range. And then what's happening from there is that we're being magnetized now out of our safety zones, if you will, because it's time for us to step up and take on a different role in the world, in your communities, in your families, in your own self leadership. And this piece is huge for projectors because, and there's always varying degrees of everything, right? But the tendency to go into that victim mode is very easy. You know, oh, people don't understand us, so I'm just going to stay small. People aren't ready for what I have to say, so I'm just going to keep quiet. I don't know how to run a business, so I'm just going to stay over here and keep doing my other things that I've been doing. And that's all down here. And that's where we get caught up in all the drama and the on and the off and the up and the down. And I see projectors really seeking that more neutral ground because they know how much time is being wasted when they keep dipping down. And again, I know if you are watching this, you're likely, a little bit further along on the path, but I think it's important to recognize where we're coming from, because when we move more into those leadership roles, this is what who we're going to be helping, is the people that are still kind of stuck in that lower frequency. And I don't mean lower as in like bad or negative. It's just truth. It's just truth, right? So the the projectors now are, we're choosing to say, you know what, I know that that doesn't actually work for me, even though there's feels like kind of a safety in the familiarity of things, I'm gonna choose to really maintain my energy and do what I need to do to keep myself in that zone, and and then up level from there. And again, just to bring it through one more time is that it's so much easier actually to create from that higher frequency than it is to go down and then try to build up and then create and then go down and then build up, come back up and then create. So if we can be at that middle sort of frequency and maintain in that zone, and just it's about getting more efficient about it, because I'm sure that you've already been doing this for a long time, or some of you might be newer to it, and that's fine as well. It's getting easier. It's the fine tuning is getting easier and easier and easier. You're like, you know what? Actually, I don't want to do that because that is just really going to drain me. And like, I know there's part of me that wants to because I used to do that and it was fun. But when I do that, I feel exhausted for 3 days. And it's like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. Like, I'm going to say no to that and I'm going to say yes to this, and then we start shifting our energy. You've probably already noticed, like, there's probably some relationships that have dropped away. You probably experience, your work life is different, and you're probably there's some change brewing within that. Your closer relationships have probably shifted. Your relationships to your children or your loved ones or your siblings or your parents has probably shifted. And this is a beautiful thing because it means that your relationship to self is shifting, and that priority of maintaining your relationship to source is like you've given it the space that it needs to really focus on maintaining that. And this is all going to translate as you move into whatever you're choosing to do. If you're choosing to move forward to, when I say that it's time for us to be guides, not all of us are going to move into business. Not all of us are going to move in that direction. But I am going to offer something in the future that is going to be like projectors in business, because that's going to be, the next phase for a lot of people, right? And, I think it's hard for us to call ourselves life coaches. I don't want to project that onto you all, but I know for myself, it's been very difficult for me to call myself like a life coach because it's not what I feel. I truly feel the guide energy of like, you know what? Here's me. Here, I've been on a spiritual journey, pretty committed for 25 years now. I've been a spiritual practitioner in many different modalities. I have, really committed myself to self realization, and I have put in the time and the work. And all I want to do is guide you to on that journey of self-realization. It is my desire for others to be able to lead themselves forward on their path, and I am happy to be that guide for you. So yeah, I do feel a little shy about using that life coach term, but I do feel that a lot of projectors are going to be um, you know, fulfilling some kind of role like that. So whether it's, life coach, spiritual mentor is something that I consider myself. I'm a spiritual mentor to people. I want to hold space for people. I want you to know that you are not alone in your journey. That is a big piece for me because nobody needs to be alone on their journey. There's so many people in this world, and we it takes a little bit of work to build these communities of like-minded souls, but it is worth it because it is so important for you to know that you're not alone. And I think a lot of us projectors can spend a lot of time like looking for our people. And, we might find a little pocket of people here, a little pocket of people here, and maybe we have a few people in our life that kind of understand us. But a lot of us have learned to adapt ourselves to fit in. It's only really been I mean, yes, I've had a few people throughout my life, and because I live, I don't mean this like in a higher ego way of like I live a spiritual life, and I'm very open about how I talk about spirituality with my husband, with my kids, with my mother, with my granny, with my mother-in-law. Like I'm very open, and I'm very, very grateful for that, that I really truly in a lot of ways have always just been able to be me. But when I'm out in the world, not everybody wants to talk about incarnation and past life trauma and karma and what is it like to be on the cusp of life and death and who are we anyways? Like not a lot of people want to go into those deeper conversations. And um, so I think as projectors, we naturally want to talk about these things. This is what we think about. This is what we contemplate. This is what we study. This is what we explore. This is where we spend our time. And so I think for a lot of us, it takes a minute to find those people that like we can speak the language, and because we've spent so much of our time like adapting, like, oh, I better like pull it back for these people, and like I better not say anything to these people, and like, oh, I'm going to a work thing, I better not say anything. And there's a lot of effort in that. There's a lot of effort in that. And I feel like, again, this collective pull outwards is, again, that's what I'm saying about leaving kind of the safety behind, is that we are getting to a place where we're not going to be turning it on and off anymore. We're just going to be who we are. And I know a lot of you are already doing that, and it's a little bit of like walk the talk, right? And it's not that you haven't been, but it's in a lot of ways, sometimes, you're kind of like reining it in or kind of managing it, kind of micromanaging it. And the same thing goes for like, just those subtle ways of caregiving your energy. It's like, well, I could say yes to that, but I'm going to feel junky after. And it's like, it's not really what I want to do. I actually just really want to go and lay down in my bed and maybe watch a YouTube video that I've been waiting to watch, or listen to a podcast that I've been waiting to listen to. And it's that self-preserving energy is what's really going to move you forward, because as you allow yourself to be more in alignment, everything else is going to get clearer. And I know this, like, it can be hard, when we still have our day jobs and we're like, still kind of in the in between, but I feel like that clarity is coming. And the more of us, this is kind of interesting. I feel like this is just kind of coming through now as something just shifted here. Um, I feel like the more of us that stand in our power and allow ourselves to emanate that frequency of like, okay, I'm a projector energy type, this is who I am in the world. And what will happen is that we will be creating, and this goes for energy, all energy types, because this is just a human thing, is that we are creators, so we are creating. Projectors are projecting, right? And so it's really, really, sorry, I have my little this is just my little fidget that I have in my hand. um we live it. is. We know that we have to be very in tune with our internal existence to be able to create the energy, to create life, to create the world that we live in. And we're masters at it. And this is the ship turning directions because so many are living from the external and they don't know how to move into the internal. When I was signed up for a silent meditation retreat and I was excited, like I was like, I'm ready for this. I'm so ready to be quiet and to let myself really, really, really go inwards. And for some reason, I just really remember this one girl in particular, and she was, she was just that kind of girl. She was lovely, just a very, very sweet girl, and she loved to talk, like loved to talk. And one of these people that can just go just probably endlessly, just talk. And she was really scared. Bless her heart. She was really scared, and I had already done a silent meditation retreat, and she hadn't, and she was there. She was there. This is the thing. She was there. And she was terrified to not talk. And I feel like that is a really simple example of who the projector is for the other. Because I feel like the projector can sit and I can feel myself allow my energy to shift where I'm, dropping down into my body. I'm feeling my solar plexus. I'm feeling that like my diaphragm just like relax, and my heart open and my throat open. And I can say, truly, I know you're scared because I can see it and I understand it. You're afraid of who you are without speaking, among other things, perhaps. But I feel like it's an identity thing, right? I'm scared to not speak. I'm scared to not talk. It's all I know. And the projector can say, yeah, I know, but it's okay. I got you. And it's so easy for us to do that. It's so easy for us to hold that space and say, I see you and mean it. We're not following some script of like, oh, when somebody's feeling this way, this is what you say. When somebody is experiencing this, this is what you do. Like projectors don't need that. We don't need that. We don't. We have we ever needed it? I don't think so. Because when we drop in and we're connected to source, which is very simple for most of us. Some of us still might be practicing, but most of us are quite established in this. And we just go, okay, we're here. We're here and we've got you. And it's easy for us. And I don't mean easy for us in that we're better than. It's easy for us because we devote our lives to it. We know, projectors know that they could have absolutely every material thing on their wish list, check all the boxes. Everything they've ever desired on the physical could be theirs. And they know that if they are depleted, burnt out, pushing themselves too hard, not in alignment with source, not taking time for their spiritual practice, not eating well, not sleeping well, not practicing their physical maintenance, they will not enjoy any of it. Projectors know this. They know this. They know that if they are not true to themselves on every level, of course, this isn't about perfection. Things are always going to ebb and flow. But they know that if they're not in sync with themselves, they will not enjoy the world's riches. They just know. And I love that for us. I love that for us because I really see it. It's our superpower. It's our gift. It's our ability. And I know it's been hard sometimes to be in this crazy, loud, distracting world where everybody's talking about the thing over there. And you're going, I think we should be talking about the thing over here. Because if we don't have this peace within ourselves and this devotion and this connection, nothing else has meaning, and this is the thing with projectors in business, and I'm just going to touch on this a little bit and then I'm going to wrap up, is that if we are not in alignment with what we're truly meant to be doing in the world, it's not going to work. It's not like a job that you've got your education for, that you've signed up for, that you've spent years mastering and you've just like gotten through it. And I'm sure there's benefit in there as well, but like essentially most of us have, the time is sort of, the clock has kind of run out on our day jobs and we're like, oh my gosh, I cannot do this for another 20 years. Like I'd rather just cease to exist. um but shifting over into your own business isn't as straightforward as somebody saying, oh, you just do this kind of business, you'll be great, just sign here and do this and do that and it's just going to work and it's just going to be amazing for you. It's more of a grind than that, in the sense that there's a lot of pieces for it to be a success, because if we are not connected to it, it will not work. We have to be connected to the energy of our business, especially, most of you that I'm speaking to are, spiritual entrepreneurs in some capacity, right? Like, or desiring to move towards that. And the thing is that, and we're not unique in this. This is the thing. I mean, if you're a spiritual entrepreneur, you're a solopreneur, I mean, this is relevant to all of you, which whatever the energy type is, right? um but what projectors know is that that won't work for us, because we just won't be able to sustain it. I think that's ultimately where that comes from. It's like, sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to do. Sometimes you have to do things that you're not great at. Sometimes you just have to reach out for help and get support in the things that maybe you're not as experienced in. Um, so it's not about just like avoiding what's not doesn't come easy to you. That's not what I mean. It's just the energetics behind it all, right? If you're not feeling like you're connected to your purpose when you are, let's say, creating a business, it's just going to fizzle, or it's going to lead to burnout. Because let's say the root of your business is something that you think you should do, or maybe it's an old idea you had from 20 years ago and you're like, okay, I want to do the thing. um or I think I want to do the thing, and then you start doing it, it's like it's not working, but you keep pushing and then it's not working, and then you're staying up late at night and you're trying to figure it out, and you're producing all of this information and you're producing all of this content and you're doing these emails and you're doing all of these things, and it's not working and it's not working and it's not working. And there could be other reasons, obviously, but for this example is like, if you're not connected to the energy behind the business, it's not going to translate into your output, right? And for those of you that have been following me more closely over the last few years, like, this is something that I have been spending a lot of time on, is trying to get clarity in my business, to try to have like a deeper understanding of the transformation that I offer. And if you are in the spiritual realm of things, which most of you probably are if you're watching my video, it takes a minute to understand how you're working with the unseen and how you're bringing that through, and then articulating that for people, and then, selling it and providing it as a service and building your business on it. And this is unique to projectors in the sense of, we are the bridge between the unseen and the seen. And so, this is another piece where we often feel misunderstood or not really heard, is that it can be difficult to articulate exactly what it is that we do, because we're not really doing very much. We, behind the scenes, we're doing all the things to maintain our energy and to keep our channel open and our direct connection to source always, right? That is our work. And then when it comes time to being the guide, we're really allowing ourselves to be present. I want to be available to you. I am here to support you in your transformation. It really could be anything, right? So I feel like that's takes a minute, in my opinion, especially for projectors to figure out, because, you know, it can be a challenge to articulate what that is exactly that you do. And I'm not saying this to discourage you. I'm saying the opposite. I'm like, it can take a minute, and I really do feel like it's why it's so important for projectors to be with other projectors, because we need to be able to say, like, "Oh my gosh, I've been working on this for so long and it doesn't make any sense." And then you can have another projector look in and say, "Oh, well, I think it's because you're not exercising enough. You're just not really feeling like fully in your body right now." And I know I don't mean for that to sound like misdirected, but I truly feel, as projectors, if there's one thing that is out of sync, it's going to have a ripple effect. And I do feel that sometimes the best thing that you can do for your business is take care of your physical health. And that can be for anybody, but I truly feel like for projectors, again, it's because it's so difficult for us to override. If we're feeling super funky and junky in our bodies, it's gonna be so much harder for us to show up as a clear and present channel. It's like, just like, probably not gonna work. And we'll always do our best, and it can still be helpful, don't get me wrong. But if you keep perpetuating that, then that's where the bitterness comes in and the fuzziness comes in, and the um disconnect, to put it simply. So anyways, bit of a tangent there at the end. I appreciate you all so much, and if you have any questions, please always reach out. I love to support anybody, and especially projectors, and especially spiritual entrepreneurs. And I appreciate you all so much. I do have one-to-one sessions that are available right now. I think at the moment they're 177 for a 60-minute session. And that's where, I can really go in just this much, like, into your story, into your journey, and um, be able to shed that insight, like shed that light and bring through the insight on where it is that you may need to focus on, what it might be time to let go of, where that resistance is in your business. Typically I'm more focused on projectors in business, but also, sometimes it goes out a little bit into different tangents, but essentially, you know, using my clear seeing to be able to support you, because sometimes when you're in it, it's not as easy to see the thing, and you need that kind of outside perspective looking in to shine the light, and give some direction. And I'm here for that, and I absolutely love looking in and seeing what's going on and doing some exploring and cleaning things up, cleaning up the energy, moving blocked energy. And sometimes it's just I kind of I do this because the way that I often like experience like stuck energy is as if it's like a cotton ball or like a cloud like appearance, cobwebby, and I like to open things up and see what's kind of at the root of things. And that can be a very helpful tool and way for you to just recognize what's holding you back. And once you kind of tend to those places that you're stuck, it's so much easier to move forward and to breathe easy and to just have that clarity of, who you are in this world and what your purpose is and how you can um, just really honor yourself on a even deeper level. And I know you've gone deep. I know, because you're a projector and that's what you do. And I feel like there's always possibility for more because it's infinite. And the visual that I just got is like thinking about like the earth. And I know projectors love earth analogies because we're all about the earth and we're all about that groundedness. And it's like, imagine we just live on the surface of the earth. Like, how far do we go? Maybe like 4 feet in our gardens, like we grow in like 2 feet. We grow our food with like 2 feet. That's it. And maybe you've gone a little deeper, you've gone a little deeper, but imagine that you could go right to the core of the earth, and that it's literally feels infinite how deep you can go with your own self-realization and your own connection to source and your own connection to creator. And when we can live in that connection through devotion and through self-care practices and really nurturing ourselves and honoring ourselves, we are the advocates for source. We are the advocates for creator. We are the guides. And it's about leading others back to themselves. So I hope this was helpful, and I love you all, and please keep in touch. We'll talk soon.